Hello everyone, this is Sam from intelligentpersonaltraining.com, and today I want to talk about a topic that I feel is very poorly understood and under discussed in the fitness and PED education communities, and that's kidney damage from anabolic steroid use. And I really think that there needs to be some better education about this topic. I want to talk about how exactly they cause kidney failure and how they're nephrotoxic, and deep dive into the science of it, and also at the end discuss some ways that you can reduce your nephrotoxicity on cycle. When people think of nephrotoxicity, they usually think of synthetic androgens like equipoise, trenbolone, winstrol. By the way, I'm going to make a separate video about equipoise's nephrotoxicity. But yeah, my overall point is that even testosterone is nephrotoxic. So any synthetic androgen and testosterone, anything, will be nephrotoxic. But the common belief is that only certain androgens will pose a risk to kidney health, like specifically trenbolone and boldenone. But I think this is misunderstood, and I've even seen some people say that the nephrotoxicity of steroids is is like it's less prevalent than the nephrotoxicity from just high protein consumption, which is absolute rubbish. So if we search through on PubMed, there's about 35 case studies on kidney damage and injury amongst anabolic steroid users. Specifically a study titled Development of Focal Segmental Glomerulosclerosis. It's a very difficult word to say. After anabolic steroid use. And it follows 10 bodybuilders who suffered glomerular sclerosis, which is the scarring of the glomeruli in the kidneys. Basically, they're the filtering units of the kidneys. And when your kidneys are overstressed, they will undergo hypertrophy to increase filtration demands. Hypertrophy will result in the detachment of podocytes, which will eventually result in the scarring of the kidneys. The researchers noticed that 6 out of the 10 participants had moderate hypertension, but they did not exhibit significant arteriosclerosis in their kidneys, which led them to believe that while high blood pressure contributes to kidney damage, the primary culprit was direct toxicity of the synthetic androgens used on the kidneys. So although these were case reports, I think with so many of these case reports, in addition to clear theoretical evidence of how steroids cause nephrotoxicity, I mean, it's a topic of great concern in my opinion. There's a lot of animal studies as well, such as a systemic review titled The Potential Effects of Anabolic Androgenic Steroids and Growth Hormone as Commonly Used Sports Supplements on the Kidney, a systemic review. And it elucidated all the complications involved. I think it's worth a read if you're interested. In my opinion, the biggest concern is that kidney damage is irreversible, especially after long-term anabolic steroid use. So the longer you're using it, you're screwing yourself over, man. But to be fair, some of the case reports did notice improvements in glomerular filtration rate, which, by the way, you should be getting checked frequently, and creatinine levels after they stopped androgen use. Okay, so let's talk about how exactly they're nephrotoxic. So as I mentioned before, the issue is hypertrophy of the kidneys to increased filtration demands, and that will lead to detachment of podocytes and cause scarring or sclerosis in the kidneys. The stress actually comes from an increase in demands from metabolic waste and direct toxicity, such as oxidative stress and inflammation from the androgens. So they'll have an increased filtration load to deal with. Also, in addition to this, glomerular damage comes from increased blood pressure and fluid retention because it will stress the kidneys out further. So it's basically a bunch of issues compounding. But luckily, since we know that blood pressure, fluid retention, and rapid increases in body weight are a contributing factor, there are a couple ways of mitigating this. Firstly, which is one that I go through step by step with all my clients. So dosage increases of your PEDs and food intake should be done as slowly as possible. Like, there's no point rushing, rushing up and increasing compounds and fucking adding a lot of extra calories on top of whatever your maintenance is, and having these rapid increases in body weight. Like, I get that they're like somewhat of a bragging point, like, oh yeah, I just added this amount of muscle on in this small of a time, but these rapid increases are gonna really be detrimental to your kidney biomarkers. So this will ensure less damage to your kidneys when your increases in body weight are more sustainable. They go up slower, but in my opinion, a lot of the massive increases in body weight from these huge cycles can be attributed to increase in, things like fluid retention. So I don't think the actual muscle you're packing on is going to be that drastically different if you start you increase your dosages in lower increments than someone who would just go from 250 to 500 milligrams of testosterone per week. Also, let's talk about dealing with the fluid retention. Use some supplements like black and green tea, asparagus, dandelion root, caffeine. These will help deal with water retention. And then obviously you know how to manage your estrogen. There's plenty of over-the-counter supplements and also aromatase inhibitors. Primo, just deal with your estrogen as well. Make sure it's in optimal ranges. Obviously this advice is more specific to those who are going through a bulking phase. Okay, let's talk about some over-the-counter supplements that will directly support your kidney health. Number one, in my opinion, is vitamin C. Take it around 700 to 1,000 milligrams with each meal of the day. There are plenty of systematic reviews that show high levels of serum vitamin C are associated with a reduced likelihood of chronic kidney damage. There's also a study that directly investigates using vitamin C to protect from boldenone-induced nephrotoxicity. I'll put it on the screen now. And it basically, reviews how vitamin C plays a preventative role in nephrotoxicity by reducing oxidative damage. Also, I wanted to mention, I mentioned this in my blog article, vitamin C is also a key preventer in testicular oxidative stress and damage to your testicles in a number of ways. It's a natural antioxidant, and I think supplementation is very key. It will improve all sperm parameters. Also coenzyme Q10 is another thing to consider. It's been shown to reduce markers of oxidative stress in patients with chronic kidney disease, and it's also beneficial to supplement it when you're eating a fat containing meal. Also, coenzyme Q10 has been shown to also improve antioxidants status and sperm quality in your testicles. So I noticed that there's an overlap in their nephroprotective actions. So yeah, I'd speculate that other antioxidant supplements will have overlapping benefits on nephrotoxicity and testicular function, but obviously not for angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors and ARBs like lisinopril, ramipril, lasotan, telmisaratan. So all these things, I don't think will provide the same, antioxidant benefits on your testicular function. Anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Also, another thing to mention is your ethnicity also plays a role in nephrotoxicity from anabolic steroids. All studies will be linked below, and do some further reading, I suggest, if this is a topic of concern to you. Thank you.